I am the man Aeneas, of whom Virgil sung, forced by fate and Juno's unrelenting hate. Expelled and exiled off my father's shore, I bore long labors both sea and land in that Trojan war. All this before I won the Latin realm and built the glorious and destined town.
Rome, if any nation deserves the privilege of claiming a divine ancestry, that nation is our own. When we declare that Mars himself was our first parent, the father of Romulus, the man who founded our city, all the other nations might as well accept it as readily as they accept Rome's imperial dominion.
Good afternoon. Welcome to famous men in Rome. Allow me, the legendary hero Aeneas,
and me, the famous historian Livy,
to take you on a journey in 3 parts. We will chart the Roman age of kings,
the glory of the Republic,
and the power of the Western Empire.
Please enjoy the performance.
Descendant of brave Aeneas, who sailed the great sea in search of a new land, a new Troy, a country to one day rule the world. I founded Rome. My name is Romulus. Welcome one, welcome all. Come to my city for refuge. Be you wanderer, fugitive, or refugee, you shall find a home in my city.
Thank you, great Romulus. We are forever your servants, soldiers, and loyal companions.
But tell us, how shall I find good wives to marry? None will come, for we are known as criminals and vagabonds. How shall I find wives?
What do we need that our neighbors cannot provide? We shall invite our neighbors, the Sabines, to a festival with games and feasting. At the sound of the horn, every man shall take a woman and ride back to Rome.
And this they did. Causing King Tautius of the Sabines to make war. But he and Romulus were able to make peace before much harm came. Rome prospered and the Senate was formed to govern it. Romulus was the first king of what would become a grand civilization.
Rome became a civilization that not only acted grandly, but looked grand. Many splendid buildings were erected by the great King Tarquin.
I am Tarquin, and I have made many great buildings. I built the Circus Maximus.
After King Tarquin, a man named Servius Tullius ruled Rome with goodness and gentleness. But another man, a son of Tarquin, plotted against Servius Tullius. His name was Tarquin the Proud.
This impostor, Servius Tullius, shall not stand in my way any longer. I shall be king over his dead body.
And so Tarquin did as he said. Servius Tullius was killed. Tarquin the Proud became king. He would be the last king of Rome because he was such a cruel tyrant. One of his sons, named Sextus, insulted a young lady of the royal court named Lucretia. She was so ashamed that she plunged a dagger into the heart. At this night, a leader rose to defy the tyranny of Sextus and Tarquin the Proud. His name is Junius Brutus.
By this girl's blood, none more chaste till a tyrant wronged her. And by the gods, I swear that with sword and fire, I will pursue Lucius Tarquinius, his wicked wife, and all his children. And never again will I let them nor any other man be king in Rome.
We will not suffer a man to rule Rome.
Genius Brutus was given as splendid a funeral as those in the early days of the Republic could afford. But an even greater tribute to him was the nation's sorrow. Of the most poignant expression was given by the women of Rome, who mourned him for a year as a father. It was their special tribute to a fierce championship of a woman's honor.
Thus the age of the kings ended. The people would not suffer a man to rule Rome. They put their faith in the rule of the Senate, but Rome's outstayed king Tarquin would not go down without a fight. He joins forces with Lars Porsena, king of Clusium, to try to take back his throne. Porsena and his army marched to Rome, and there encountered some difficulty.
The Etruscans cannot enter our city without crossing the Sublician Bridge. Council, what should we do?
We must tear down the bridge. It is the only way to save our city. As many as you can, begin dismantling the bridge.
The Etruscans are in sight. We are running out of time.
If only someone could hold them off while we finish tearing down the bridge.
Who could do that? A whole army against one man?
Consul, give me 2 good men and I will defend the bridge and hold the enemy back.
3 men to hold back thousands? We can easily defeat 3 Romans. The city will be ours.
Furious, Titus, the bridge is about to fall. Run back to the other side. I will stay in the bridge.
The bridge is down, Horatius.
Round turned he as not deigning those craven ranks to see, not spake to Lars Porsena, to Sextus not spake he. But he saw on Palatinus the white porch of his home, and he spake to the noble river that rolls by the towers of Rome.
Tiber, Father Tiber, to whom the Romans pray, a Roman's life, a Roman's arms, taken thou charge this day.
So he spake, and speaking, sheathed the good sword by his side, and with his harness on his back, plunged headlong in the tide.
When I emerged on dry land, the leaders of Rome were there to greet me, and even Lars Porsena's prayers for my safety were answered. With shouts and clapping and weeping, I returned to my home through the river gate, borne on the shoulders of the crowd.
Horatius was well rewarded for his bravery and had a statue erected in his honor. Porsena decided to keep his army on the other side of the Tiber. His plan was to besiege Rome, preventing food from being sent in, thus forcing the Romans to surrender. But there was one thing Porsena had not accounted for: Caius Musius.
I've devised a way to save our city. I'm going to march right into the Etruscan camp, find Porsena, and kill him. That should put an end to the siege.
Here is your pay. Go tell your troops to prepare for guard duty at the river. Distribute this money to your men and report back to me.
Oh no, he's killed the secretary.
Who are you? Why have you done this?
I am a Roman citizen. I've come here to kill you because you are an enemy of Rome. I have failed, but others will come who will not fail. Your life will be in constant danger, Lars Persena, and you will one day be killed when you least expect it.
I will burn you to death if you do not at once tell me all of Rome's plans to kill me.
Behold, how little we Romans care for pain when it is to defend our country.
I am amazed. This man's heart is fearless and cannot be bound. Set him free.
In return for your kindness, I now tell you of my own free will what I would not when you threatened me with punishment. Know then that 300 young men have pledged an oath to kill you. The lot fell first to me. I have failed, but more will come until you are finally killed.
Persena was so frightened at these words that he immediately sent messengers to make peace.
When the Roman Republic was under a great threat, they appointed one man to have supreme power, but for only as long as it took to secure Rome's safety. Our next famous Roman is Camillus. Camillus was a great soldier and was made dictator in a time of such great danger. But he ran into trouble on one occasion. Camillus was accused of greedy with the spoils of war. Such a crime was very serious and it went to trial. Seeing the trial before the tribunes as a disgrace, he chose the life of exile. As he passed out of Rome's gates, he prayed to God to do something so terrible to Rome that the Romans would be forced to call for his return.
My prayer was answered. The Romans were invaded by the Gauls. The Gauls swooped in into Italy, defeating all of Rome's armies along the way. Most of the Romans deserted the city, leaving it wide open for the Gauls to pillage. They destroyed most of the city, but could not drive out a small band of Roman senators and fighters in their stronghold in the capital. Meanwhile, those who had fled sought me out. As I had prayed, they pleaded me to return and deliver them from this disaster. I arrived just in time. The chief of the Gauls, Brennus, was demanding the Senate to pay in gold in order to leave them alone. This is what I told him. We Romans defend our city not with gold, but with steel. And so it was not gold that saved Rome that day, but the sword of Camillus.
The Roman Republic grew in strength and became engaged in a series of wars with the North African city of Carthage. Rome's greatest threat during these Punic wars was the great Carthaginian general Hannibal, who traveled thousands of miles through Hispania and crossed the great Italian Alps. Rome's only hope was the general Scipio Africanus.
When Carthage sought to conquer Rome a second time, it sent Hannibal across the Alps with war elephants to crush our army. His brother, Hans Druppel, was the first to see my sword when I repelled him from Italia. Hannibal would also witness its coals gleam when it drove his elephants to madness. I gave this short sword, the gladius, to my fellow Romans to pierce the ranks of our enemies as long as Rome would wield it.
began to get lazy under the protection their armies provided to them. There were even terms of peace with Carthage, but not all Romans trusted their North African rivals.
Delendo est Carthago. I'm Senator Cato, and in my opinion, Carthage must be destroyed. I felt so strongly about the destruction of Carthage that I ended every speech I gave in the Senate with those very words, Delendo est Carthago. I lived during a time when Romans were losing sight of what really mattered. We were growing fat and lazy. We spent too much money on things we really didn't need, and it was stealing from our strength as a nation. I chose to live a different life. I lived by the old frigate. I ate plain food, drank cheap wine, and had very few servants. I was made censor, and with my newfound power, I fought against frivolity and waste. People do not need to get around in carriages, they can walk. Other than taxes against items Romans held dear, like fancy furniture, and other non-essential items like jewelry.
Popularity of the Roman general. Leaders like Julius Caesar and Pompey the Great made great alliances to solidify the control of the republic.
I am the great Julius Caesar. I led armies to conquer Hispania and Gaul and wrote about these wars in texts that may be translated by Latin school students for generations.
The whole of Gaul is divided into 3 parts, one of which the Belgae inhabit.
Stand up against Rome.
The Aquinti another.
Defend our fatherland! Fatherland!
And a third of people who in their own language are called Celts, but in ours Gauls.
I am the great king of Wars!
Pompey was a great leader of my day, and I, the great Julius Caesar, made an alliance with him, but I would share power for only so long. Pompey came from the nobility, the upper class, but I was a man of the people, and they loved me. My greatest ambition was to rule Rome. Only Pompey stood in my way. One fateful day, my army waited on the edge of Italy, on the far side of the river Rubicon. Pompey denied me entrance to Rome. Either I would disband my army and give up my ambition, or I would defy Pompey and cross the river. I chose to cross the Rubicon. The die had been cast.
Caesar marched into Italy without the slightest challenge. He crossed the Rubicon, violating a Roman army inside its own borders. Even so, he was celebrated by the people. They took the power of the Senate and gave it to him. And that power went to his head. All the while the Senate was planning their revenge on the Ides of March, Caesar was in the Senate, pontificating about his greatness.
So in the world 'tis furnished well with men, and men are flesh and blood and apprehensive. Yet in the number I do know but one, that unassailable holds on his rank, unshaked in motion, and that I am he. Let me a little show it.
O Caesar!
Hence wilt thou lift up Olympus.
Great Caesar!
Doth not Brutus bootless kneel?
Speak, answer me.
Et tu Brute, and fall, Caesar.
After the assassination of Julius Caesar, there was one who denounced his murders. His name was Mark Antony.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. This deed shall be avenged. We will not let Caesar's death be in vain. No, I will use it to my advantage. It is Mark Antony who will rule Rome now. Come, let us find the rest of these conspirators and bring them to justice.
Like Pompey and Caesar before, Antony made an alliance with Caesar's descendant Octavius, but it would not last long.
I am Caius Julius Caesar Octavianus, the great nephew of Julius Caesar. I was destined to be Caesar's heir, and my former ally, Mark Antony, was not going to stop me. Our fleets were battling off the coast of Actium in Greece. Suddenly, in the heat of battle, Cleopatra, the queen of Egypt, and Antony's companions suddenly pulled silver oars to flee. Antony chased after her, disgracefully abandoning his soldiers. I, Octavius, was now without rival. I quickly rose to supreme power as Emperor Caesar Augustus, bringing peace and order. My reign saw the flourishing of arts, contentment to the common people, and the birth of the Christ. It was the beginning of the great Roman peace, the Pax Romana.
The emperors who succeeded Augustus were powerful and intelligent. They were only occasionally good. The moral decay of Rome is often typified by the rule of Nero. Under this evil man, the Christian church celebrate persecution.
Christians, a strange lot, believing in some man called Jesus who died as their Lord, while I showed them my lordship. One night in Rome, flames went up all over the city. I could not help but be reminded of Troy and its fall. It inspired me to sing and play my harp. Afterwards, I was blamed for starting the fire. So I had the Christians blamed. They were put to death in many ways. Some said I was cruel. Some even pitied the Christians, but I never deserved what happened to me. Why, I had done so many things to bring beauty and art to Rome, but I was not appreciated. When a revolt conspired against me, I fled and had to fall upon my own sword. What an artist the world lost that day.
Years passed, and Rome found itself being ruled by several different so-called emperors who vied for control over the empire. Constantine was one of them. On the day before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, he was praying. God sent Constantine a vision of a cross of light in the heavens at midday, with an inscription telling him,
"By this sign you shall conquer."
Accordingly, I called on God with earnest prayer and supplications that he would reveal to me who he was, and stretch forth his right hand to help me in my present difficulties. And while I was thus praying with fervent entreaty, a most marvelous sign appeared to me from heaven. About noon, when the day was already beginning to decline, I saw with my own eyes the trophy of a cross of light in the heavens, above the sun, bearing the inscription, "By this sign you shall conquer."
I myself was struck with amazement, and my whole army also, which followed me on this expedition and witnessed the miracle.
Constantine made Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. By then it had been divided between the East and the West, and Constantine moved his government to the East, to a city that would be named after him, Constantinople. This division, along with the new official religion, Christianity, did much to benefit the church in new ways. However, it did not prevent the West from being overrun by the Gauls. Those who worshipped the old pagan gods blamed this new Christian religion for Rome's fall. In North Africa, the Christian Bishop Augustine famously responded to this accusation. Was it Christianity's fault that Rome was sacked by the Gauls? No, Rome's own pride and immorality were the source of its trouble. But Christianity offered citizenship in the city of God, where sin is covered by Christ, where the pride of man is redeemed by the love of God.
Christianity is the religion worthy of your desires, O admirable Roman race, the progeny of Junius Brutus and of Horatius, of Cato and of Augustus. Choose now what you will pursue, that your praise may be not in yourself, but in the true God, in whom is no error. Incomparably more glorious than Rome is that heavenly city, for which in victory you have truth, for dignity, holiness, for peace, felicity, for life, eternity.